I feel a little bit bad because I feel like everyone's going to be really disappointed when they see it's not a Matt Bridger vlog, but it's all of us. But Matt is here.
I'm disappointed. I don't know about you, Steve. I'm really disappointed. It got me excited for a bit there.
Well, I just thought that intro is like one of the most exciting things you can do before you go to Vegas. I don't know about everyone else, and we got people joining as we speak. But I always watch Matt Bridger vlogs before I go on a Vegas trip. Even on the plane, I don't know if this is sad or not, but I have been known to download them because there are ways you can download off YouTube, and save them up for the flight. They're right up there with the Louis Theroux documentary as must-watch viewing on the plane. And also the other one is Vegas Vacation.
Yes,
but anyway, thank you for joining us, Matt. We're gonna talk to Matt in a little bit. I just wanted to well, welcome everyone as well. I feel bad. I should have said welcome to Michael, welcome to Melts as well. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, we're all on the alcohol, which is always a good sign. I just wanted to really quickly start because before we chat to Matt, which I know a lot of people are really excited to see hear what you have to say, Matt. I wanted to talk about very quickly the Venetian Palazzo news. So I'm going to hand over to our trusty TravelZork news expert who writes the TravelZork news every single week. Yes, Marc Meltzer.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's not here for me. I don't know where he's not here for me.
I'm at a different place for all of your screens, which is making all the pointing even better.
So I make it really big in front of everyone. Oh no, that's just me. Now I've removed him.
So yeah, the big news I woke up to this morning around 5 o'clock. I think it hit around 4 a.m. my time. The Venetian was sold by Las Vegas Sands. The deal includes the Venetian Palazzo, the Expo Center, everything. Essentially, the deal is a two-part deal, as I actually wrote about that on Vegas News earlier this year, where there's a landlord. Vici is a company. They're affiliated with Caesars. They're a spinoff of Caesars. And the operations were sold to Apollo, one of their or multiple affiliates of Apollo, who has hundreds of different companies. It's a venture capital fund. So you have a real estate deal as well as an operational deal. There's really they haven't released information on who's going to operate the actual casino once the deal clears in a few months. But, it would not be surprising if it is Caesars managing the property or operating the property on behalf of Vici or Apollo or whatever. They already own the sports book operator who operates inside the Venetian. They've done deals with Apollo in the past, and obviously their connection with Vici is very close. So, who knows? If you wanted to do way too early speculation, I'm surprised that we haven't seen 17 tweets about it already. Saying that Caesars is definitely doing it, that there are people talking. But who knows what's going to happen there? This is not really surprising news. They officially announced that they were exploring options for the future of the company before Mr. Adelson died last year. In early October, they said they were considering selling the company. They're also exploring not Las Vegas. They're online.
We've lost you there, Melts. I presume it's not just me that thinks we've lost Melts.
I can't hear it.
No, I think Melts is frozen.
Melts frozen.
Has caused it to become frozen.
Frozen in terror.
Look.
Yeah, so we're gonna actually save Melts frozen for 50 years, and then he's gonna come back.
Can't get anything better than frozen Melts. I think. Well, I think the key here is just going to be to monitor that news. I mean, I guess what's interesting for me is if Caesars take over that property, do we think that's a good or a bad thing? Just quickly, what do you think, Matt or Michael? Do you think that's good or bad?
I'm not going to say whether I think it's necessarily good or bad yet, but I think it's an interesting sign for Las Vegas Sands. Does it mean that Las Vegas Sands has given up on the Vegas market, or does it just mean that Las Vegas Sands got a price that was acceptable to them and they'd rather concentrate on other markets? I believe the story from Las Vegas Sands is that they have other markets they would rather concentrate on. But my concern is whether they're being pessimistic about the rebound of Las Vegas.
Sorry about that. I've been connected to, whenever I open my laptop, I get connected to a slow Wi-Fi signal instead of the 5G.
You were just too good. You were just too good, and we wanted to freeze you in time and keep you forever and ever there. So that's what happened, I think.
So where did I leave off?
Well, we were just discussing whether we thought that perhaps Caesars taking over the property would be a good thing or a bad thing. But I think you pretty much covered everything.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, as a casual sort of Caesars Rewards customer, I think it's a good news, because I don't think I'd ever actually stay there as a standalone resort. Whereas now, if it is lumped in with Caesars, assuming it will be, I'm probably more likely to stay there now. And I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. It's that and Win and Encore are the two places I've never really frequented too often. So, and it's really just a question of it's just a question of comps. That's all it is, really. Yeah. And then you can only spread your money so far. So you spread it where you think you're going to get the best deals, and so if it's lumped in with it's very crude, but if it's lumped in with a group, I'm happy.
Well, if they were smart, yeah. I'm sorry,
on,
I was going to say if they were smart, they would keep the really good management team in place at Venetian and Palazzo and let it run semi-autonomously, without. I mean, it's sort of like how cruise lines, like Carnival Cruises owns Cunard, right? But they let them do their thing as a luxury brand, whereas Carnival does their thing. So I would think it would be smart. I think it would be really bad if they tried to change things too much, because it's been a successful operation. And it's an operation that's much different than a number of the other Caesars properties, but who knows? I mean, I think all of this is just real speculation.
Like I said, there's nothing that's guaranteed with the operations. You look at the landlord operator deals, and it's not the same for everybody. Blackstone Capital owns, is it Blackstone or BlackRock? Whichever the
Blackstone, I think.
The investment company is, they own Cosmopolitan and operate it themselves. So a company, Apollo could do that if they have other partners, if they want to hire staff themselves. It's going to be an interesting thing for the future. The property is pretty much up to date. They renovated the rooms a couple of years ago at both the Venetian and Palazzo. They're redoing the casino floor, I believe, or at least some of the restaurants over at Palazzo. So it looks like it should be intact, like a turnkey solution, whoever decides to operate it. And so to what Matt Bridger was saying, it makes sense if it's part of a larger group of properties where you could go to different things as another option. It's one of the reasons that I rarely stayed at the Venetian, because the deals were just, you have to spend all of your money, or if you're a medium to low roller, you have to spend all of your money focused on the one property during a trip, and that's really not fun for me when I was a tourist, or me now that I live here. So I can easily imagine if you're traveling, the UK guys could probably speak to this better, but if you're traveling, having options is a big thing, and you don't want to be stuck in one place if you're here for 10 days.
Yeah, particularly if you're trying to maximize your comps as well. So I kind of want to lead on then. So Matt, obviously you are always in Vegas, or you were always in Vegas, it seems, until COVID hit. So Matt, please tell us, and for those who might be joining us who haven't come across your vlogs, which I would find amazing if they haven't, because you are probably, in fact, you are the biggest Vegas vlogger and the original. I actually watched a Bridger vlog before my first trip to Vegas. So there we go. The first video I ever watched, I think, of a Bridger vlog was a Treasure Island room tour. So there was an episode where you stayed at TI. Yeah, 2016. So tell us a little bit more about the vlog. When did you start it? Why did you start it? What do you use to record? Because I don't know how you manage it. But you seem to be in Vegas and get episodes up almost immediately, which is what we want, because we want to live through you. So please tell us a little bit about it.
Well, back in I don't know, sort of 2012, I think Diana Evoni started her slot channel, and I think I've watched Diana Evoni from the very beginning, pretty much. And I love slot channels. I love slot machines. That's, you know, the reason my vlogs are quite heavy with slots is because that's one of the main reasons I go to Vegas. As much as I love the city, I love gambling on slots. I always have ever since I was a teenager, and I always used to watch Diana back in. Before, I mean, she was the original, right? As far as I'm aware, anyway. But certainly the first one I ever watched.
Yeah, I think so.
And the one thing I always thought is I love the slot play, but I just wish, bearing in mind she was, you know, Evoni videos from Vegas, show a bit of Vegas in between what you're showing with regards to the slots. And that's really, when I decided to do it, which I know you know, Steve, was because Colin, who I ended up going with in 2018. I've known Colin. Yeah, I've known Colin since the late 80s. We're, you know, lifelong friends. And he always said to me he didn't think he'd ever make it to Vegas. And on that, for some reason, that particular trip, he said, yeah, why don't you stick a few videos of the slots, let me know how you're doing on the gambling, and show me a bit of Vegas. And, you know, because I may never get there. Of course, he ended up getting there. But at that point, he didn't think he would. So it was part the Colin thing and part the fact that the only way I could improve Diana's videos back then would be to intersperse it with a bit of the city, which I loved and had been going to for, you know, at that point, what, 8 years or something. That's
pretty amazing, because you know I'm a massive fan of Colin anyway, and I love that series. I think that's my favorite vlog series you've done. So it's kind of amazing to think he had a part in a way of causing you to start your vlog. By the way, someone in the chat has called you the vlog father, which I think is a great hashtag vlog father. That needs to be your new thing, I think. Hashtag vlog father.
It just means I'm old. That's basically what it means.
No, you're not as old. Well, Michael's old. We worked out, I think.
That's a little rude. That's slightly rude. Okay.
Michael's old enough to be my dad, technically, I think.
Have you worked out the math? Why are we thinking about that? I mean, why does that even come up? I don't really understand.
Because you're officially now his husband father.
Oh, exactly.
I think that's even worse. So, Matt, tell us a little bit before. I don't want to spend too long talking about COVID and such. We know we here in the UK, and people in the chat room joining us from the UK haven't been able to go to Vegas for a while. So let's park COVID for a minute and pretend COVID isn't happening. Just for at least for a few minutes. Tell us a little bit about what your favorite things to do in Vegas are, like favorite slot machines to play and why. Let's start with slot machines, because that's like one of the main things of your vlogs, and I know it changes over time. I associate you with Walking Dead, Harley Davidson. What else? What slots do you love to play, and tell us a bit about that?
Well, I mean, going back to 1998 when I first started going, it was all 3-reel slot machines. Then obviously there was no video machines. Actually, I remember when I stayed in the Stardust in the early 2000s, they had like a Terminator video slot. It was like the first video slot I'd ever seen, and I stuck, I don't know, $50 in or something. And as funny as it sounds, I just didn't trust it. You know, it was like, hang on a minute, this isn't proper reels. This is all fixed. Like, I mean, how ridiculous. But it was all 3-reel back in the day, and it's still what I enjoy playing. Really, I could play Top Dollar and Wheel of Fortune all day long, quite frankly. I love both machines. I know you do as well, Steve. Slightly higher denomination than me, but it's the same. It's the same buzz.
My wife may watch this.
But as we've gone on, I think the link games now, ever since probably a couple of years back, really. When I go back, whenever it is, hopefully later this summer, the first thing I will play is Golden Century Dragon Link, 100%. It's I love the link games, but I will always intersperse the modern games with a bit of Wheel of Fortune, a bit of Top Dollar. I'm not that keen on pinball, actually. I know a lot of the slot channels I watch, like East Coast Slots and NJ Slot Guy and whatever, play it, but I've never seen anyone actually hit big on a bonus.
I never get lucky on pinball.
No.
I just never ever get lucky on it. I too love Wheel of Fortune and Top Dollar. I know Michael's a little bit anti Wheel of Fortune, but you like Top Dollar, don't you, Michael?
I do like Top Dollar, and there's one guy, David Wong, who has a Facebook group, and he plays $100 pinball. a lot of $100 pinball, and he's had some pretty incredible hits on pinball. I like Top Dollar, but it's a sort of a love-hate relationship. But only double Top Dollar. Full Top Dollar.
Yes, no, I only play.
Yes, I agree.
I only play double Top Dollar for
two units.
Yeah,
I only like the two
well, why
units.
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. For the same bet, you've got a better chance.
Yeah,
you know, it's
exactly.
The only thing I would say about Top Dollar versus Wheel of Fortune is I've hit the Wheel of Fortune 1,000 coins on either 25-cent or dollar denominations probably 50 times in my life. Quite often, I used to guarantee when I was on 25-cent version, I'd hit it at least 2 or 3 times a trip. I've only ever hit the 1,000 on Top Dollar once in 21 years. So,
well,
21 years ago to Vegas.
It's a tough gig, that one. That really is. But I like the game.
I never played many slot machines until I met Steve, because I do it. It entertains him when it's 3
o'clock. Yeah, he blames me for his current.
When I can walk around a casino, like in San Diego, and be like, Steve, should I play now? And I know he's up in the morning and I'm in the middle of the night. But the one time I did 1,000 coins at a Wheel of Fortune quarter machine was actual physical coins at Tropicana in Las Vegas. And I remember I was like, oh my God, what do I do with this? I have all these quarters I have to. But I was one of those days. It was actually when I stayed at Stardust, and it was just walking the strip. I just started at one end of the strip, and I was doing one of those, like, I'll try to put $20 in a different machine in a different, hotel. And I don't think I had ever really played Wheel of Fortune. And I didn't really, back then, everything was all about what was the best, EV. So it was all video poker, and there was so much video poker. So I played a lot of video poker and a lot of Baccarat, but it was like, oh, you can't play slots because you're giving up edge. You can't do. So it was all about like grinding at, 9-6 acts or better for hours and hours and hours. So obviously my mindset has changed a little bit. And of course I always like tables. I guess what people find gets bored on tables, I don't. Just like I get bored at slots really quickly. And Steve's like, why are you
doing this? We're the opposite. I'm like, what the hell?
Going back to the coin machines, I used to love. I used to go out with 2 big, tumblers to chuck them all in. The thing is, when you got back to your room at night, even though they gave you the wipes for your hands, you went like that, and it was black. From like churning them around. And more often than not, if you won a jackpot, they had to keep filling the machine up until it had paid you. It was quite long-winded and probably more glamorous in retrospect than it actually was at the time. But I still loved it, to be honest. I really did.
I just love the coin processing at the cage. That they'd have to dump the bucket in, and it would be ka-chung, 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 counting all these, and it was just like an incredible process, which is so. I don't know. It was so exciting and so dramatic in comparison to ticket in, ticket out, right? I mean, it was just like this huge process. It was really cool.
Well, there's great excitement. There's great excitement in the chat at the moment from Matt's appearance. I just want to highlight this comment. Can you imagine the stockpile of Bud hidden away somewhere in Vegas, awaiting the arrival of Matt Bridger and Pennies to Vegas?
Yeah, and Marc as well. Absolutely, yeah. Heaven forbid we actually get there at the same time.
Please do keep the questions coming. We will get to them, and I know there's a few that I promise you I'm not ignoring you. There are just questions that are being asked that I already have on my list, so don't worry. Now, Matt, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Vegas in general, because I know you often bring Suzanne with you on your trips. You do solo trips and you do your trips with Suzanne. So what do you like to do when you're not gambling? Which I know is not that often. But
solo?
What do you like to do? Yeah, or with Suzanne. What other things do you like to do in Vegas that don't involve gambling?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, certainly with Suzanne, it's a far more rounded experience. There's no doubt about that, because really, when I'm on my own, it is literally gambling most of the time. But with Suzanne, we always go to a few nice restaurants. I'm quite traditional with where I've always gone to the same places, which are always top of the world. I like Eiffel Tower restaurant. I like Oscar's downtown. I'm looking forward to trying a few of the new Circa places, but I tend to go to the same places, which wouldn't surprise you on the basis I go to Vegas all the time. It's very traditional. I used to like Olives in Bellagio, but obviously that's now closed. Actually, Suzanne and I have really, really grown to enjoy the Link. I think that's one of the the main positive extensions of Vegas as I knew it to now. I absolutely love walking down the link. I think it's got a great vibe. We love Virgil's barbecue, so we go there quite regularly. And if you sit out there with a bit of barbecue and with the wheel in the background and whatever, it's top notch. So we do eat reasonable food. We probably have 2 or 3 sort of what I would consider posh meals in a 2-week period, but we eat well. That's the difference. Whereas
what I'm more worried about is, do you eat at all on your solo trips?
Very rare. No. Honestly, it is a bit of White Castle.
Can we pivot to Stardust though? Where did you used to eat at Willie B's at Stardust or
yes.
any of the restaurants?
Yeah.
I really liked Willie B's quite a bit. I loved the coffee shop at Stardust. I thought was really, really good. And they also had a great Japanese restaurant then. But I love the Stardust memories. It was really.
I'm kind of going to pick the brains of Meltz here. Meltz, if you had one place you could recommend us to eat as a local, where would it be?
As a local, I personally.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's quite all right. I mean, there's so many good restaurants around Las Vegas that it's very difficult to just pick one, especially for people traveling. Because where I live, I go around the block and I have a solid brew pub, where I can get good burgers and good beer and everything is really cheap. If you're on the Vegas Strip, you're probably going to pay a little bit more and eat a little bit nicer. Maybe, I guess the word is posh in translation. My favorite restaurant that opened in the past
Colin. Oh no, he's gone again. You went at the wrong moment there. Tell us again. You cut out just briefly there.
Major Domo.
Okay.
Over at the Venetian Palazzo. That's probably my favorite. It's super expensive, but it's phenomenal and delicious. I love Yardbird over there. Also at the Venetian. It's one of my go-to restaurants. If you like beer and burgers, one of my favorites is the Pub 365 over at Tuscany, which is just off the Strip. It's very under the radar. They're opening a new sportsbook there, which is good for people like me. But they have 365 different beers that they serve, as well as
sounds good.
It's the best beer selection anywhere near the Vegas Strip. So
I'm a big craft beer fan.
What's that?
I'm a big craft beer fan. I also I think a great option now if you're wanting to eat fast is the Cosmo food court. I love Hattie B's. I'm a big fan of Nashville, so that's kind of a little bit biased, but I love that food court. I think that's probably one of my number one.
Actually, the last couple times when I've stayed there recently this year, as you probably followed, I've been there once a month for this year. Every meal I've eaten, except for one at the Cosmopolitan, has been either Hattie B's or Lardo. Just because they're easy, quick, and I can bring the food back to the room. But they're also delicious. I never would have imagined a 3-tender meal could fill me. This massive humanity. But it does a trick for $12 or whatever. It's a solid meal for very cheap.
All right. Well, listen, before we continue it with the interview, Matt, I have prepared, because I am one of your biggest fans. I think I need a t-shirt, one of the biggest fans. I have prepared a couple of my favorite Bridger moments. Okay, favorite Bridger clips from the vlogs. And I've only picked 2 because I didn't want to use all the airtime just re-airing your vlog. But if people want to watch more of these, I recommend a good starting point. And I said this to a friend earlier this week. If you want to get into Matt Bridger vlogs, go and watch Matt's top 10 moments. He did a top 10 video. When did you do that, Matt? It was was it in lockdown? You did that?
It was about a year ago now. Pretty much.
Yeah. So he has his top 10 moments. I also have my top Bridger moments. So I'm going to show one of them now and one later. But this is my first. I'm going to just pause everyone, if that's okay. And I want to play this Bridger favorite moment of mine.
Back on the Walking Dead machine in the plaza. This is the one that I won on in March and August. 700 odd in March and 300 odd in August. And if you want to play it, it's you got basically 4 Buffalo Grands, 2 Walking Deads against the wall, and this is the second one. So I'll put the money in from Chronos down to 138 and then hit the jackpot bonus at 150 a bet. Come on, let's see what we get. I'm not going to get excited with the big ones because this seems to happen with me all the time. I'll probably get like a times 10 grand in a minute. I mean, look, again, it's doing it again. If you remember last time, I had times something on the top 3 and then ended up winning the mini. Oh my! Hang on a minute. But the mini's now at times 4. I'm now getting excited. Actually, major would be amazing. It's going to be the mini, I'm sure of it, but... No, major! Times 4! It's a fucking handpay! Oh my god! I've actually got a handpay. This is my first solo handpay. Oh my god, since 2007. Since 2007.
I love that moment, and that phrase has become famous. I think you've even got it on a T-shirt now. That
I can't even describe how excited I was. I'd gone so often for so long, and I'd been absolutely desperate for a handpay, and I'd almost given up hope. Honestly, I had, and I actually did.
Well, it feels like everyone else is getting them as well, doesn't it? When you're waiting for that next handpay, you see everyone else.
Absolutely, every trip I used to get. You know, in the run-up to trips, you get 5-6 messages saying, "Look what I just hit." And as much as you're happy for these people, it's like, well, I've never hit one since 2007. And then at a 150 bet to get that, it was, and I'd had a really good night the night before. I'd won a couple of grand the night before, so it was a crazy trip, that one. That really was. Well, yeah, it's high up. I can't remember what it was in my top 10, first or second. Second, it wasn't first. Second, I think. But that was epic. It really was. And one thing I will never do is buy a handpay by just increasing bets till I get one when I'm losing. You can guarantee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's because I'm.
Great about that. What's great about that is you were paying literally as you would normally play. It's not like you're betting like $50 for a handpay.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And just to confirm, that was a $1.50 spin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with Walking Dead. I've played it a few times, and I think prior to that, I'd won 400, 800, and had good bets on. And I don't play 150 on everything on that particular machine. I just tend to for some reason, and it seems to just work for me. So that was incredible. That, and I've never. I remember I had to run back to downtown Grand to get my passport because I never carried my passport with me because I think you're tempting fate and you're never going to hit fuck all basically. So I ran back to downtown Grand. I grabbed the passport and ran back to Plaza, and the 2 slot attendants waited for me. They were so nice.
Wow.
And it was it was almost, I could have been flying on air there and back. It was like my ultimate Vegas night had finally happened. It was.
What I really think is interesting, and kind of leading on from that, is you mentioned the Plaza. You also, I know you're a big fan of the D, and you did your famous Richard Wilk interview, the update for the Louis Theroux documentary. So, what are your favorite places to stay in Vegas? I know you love downtown, but maybe what's your favorite places to stay downtown and on the Strip?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I do actually think I feel more at home downtown than I do on the Strip. I know that sounds odd, but I really do feel I can sort of stride around the place. I know it. One thing I like is that if I'm in Plaza, say, and I don't feel lucky, I can hop over to Golden Gate, or I can go down to downtown Grand, or I can, if you want a gambling night, it's very easy to change locations. And as much as Suzanne always says to me, "Oh, they're all the same," they are so not. It's like if you're a slot player, you need to move and get that extra. I don't know. It's a different vibe somewhere. So. Certainly downtown. I've not actually stayed at the D. I've not stayed anyway, but it would be Plaza and downtown Grand for me for sure. I couldn't really. Recently, it's Plaza. The Lux rooms there are great, but downtown Grand, I want to stay in the Gallery Tower, the new Gallery Tower. So that'll happen next time. I mean, on the Strip, I would say not necessarily for the slot action because I don't think the casinos as much as it's got great games, I don't think it's as loose as some of them. But it would be Cosmo all the time for me. Just to have that balcony and the view and the whole experience there. I think that's a cracking property there. I really do. And historically, I've never been that much of a fan of the newer ones. I've always gone retro. So
I cannot win at Cosmo, but I always want to stay there because I just love the rooms. I love the terraces. Melts, you've been working there basically, haven't you? You've been staying there a few times and spending. It's like Melts' new office is the Cosmo.
It's my monthly retreat office, yeah, for sure. They have a great selection of slot machines, which I don't know about.
That big green one that you love, the cash machine one, right? How are you doing on that?
That game is dead to me. Top Dollar is dead to me. Just give me the stupidest.
That's a lot of dead machines.
Yeah, well, at the Cosmo, you have I think they have 6 different types of Top Dollar. I played them all. I hate them all right now. Because they hate me more than I hate them. I did.
You get lots of bonuses though, Melts. You do get lots of bonuses, whether they're all 15 or 25 or whatever. You do get a lot of bonuses on Top Dollar.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't.
I don't. I never get the 1,000. I never get the big wins, and recently I can't even get a bonus. So I think we need a little break. I need to go.
Melts, you just need to stop denomination. $100 Top Dollar.
Yeah,
it'll all be good.
Yeah,
Trust me. Go do it next week and report back.
We're live streaming it. You can expense it on TravelZork.
I will definitely not be playing when I visit the Cosmo next week. That is 100% for sure. But like I said, they do have the best. I think they have the best selection of slots. Them and Aria probably have the biggest variety, and the newest slots on the Strip, like Matt said, downtown has a great number of slots as well. And they have more old slots, which if you're into the coins and such, and just the 3 real versions, there's plenty of those to be found in downtown casinos. Although the D, I believe, might have just removed all of their old real slots on the upstairs. I don't remember.
I didn't know that.
Well, that's one of the things I love about Atlantic City is that you've got some of the old real slots. They're so faded. The reels are so faded. Like at Tropicana Atlantic City, even though they've redone the high limit room, they still have older Top Dollar machines, and literally it's totally faded.
Money to upgrade them.
Well, I think they keep a lot of those machines because players insist that they keep them because they've been playing them for the last 10 years. I mean, I think it's
they love it.
You think? I mean, the interesting thing from slot people a lot of times, and you were just talking about moving around from machines. And of course, whenever I think I'm going to move, because Steve, I don't like to move around very much whenever I play slots.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I'm like, well, it's a random number generator. Why would I move? It doesn't matter. Why would I move? What does it matter? It doesn't matter. It's a random number generator.
Before you go on, Michael, this is the hilarious thing. So Michael and I are sad enough that Michael called me what was it, 2 weeks ago at some ridiculous time. It was like morning in the UK. I was having breakfast and he's like, what slot should I play? And he's moving around these slots. I'm literally going, move, cash out, play this, play that. And we ended up on piggy banking. And we're down to like the last.
I like that game.
Yeah, literally down to the last 2 pulls. And I'm like, no, it's going to hit. Screw the random numbers. I can feel it because that's definitely that's a slot player, is it? I can feel it. I'm going to stroke my machine. And then what happened, Michael? And we said afterwards we should have live streamed this.
It was hysterical because I'm with you, like we're on video with each other, and I'm walking around Harris, Southern California, with Steve. Where should I go? And Steve's like, I'm like, oh my God, they're vacuuming in the high limit room. He's like, tip the woman who's vacuuming. Tip the woman who's vacuuming. I was like, okay, I'll go tip her. And he's like, did you tip her? I'm like, I did. He's like, what did she say? I said, she thought I was crazy. I mean, but it brought us luck. That's why we hit it, right? Because I tipped her.
Yeah.
Was that it?
I gotta put this card up. Travel fanboy, please don't stroke the machines.
Absolutely.
No, we rub the Buddha. You told me that I have to rub the Buddha's belly. Is that not true?
Don't tell everyone all our secrets. So let's move swiftly on to new resorts, because someone in the chat asked this, and it was on my list to ask you anyway, Matt. Are you excited? Clearly, you're excited about Circa. But are you excited about? Are you excited about resorts?
the day I get to Vegas and visit Circa, I will be as excited as if it was the first day it opened. So that it doesn't really matter that I wasn't there for the opening. It will be, for me personally, just to walk through it and see what it's like, having lived through Las Vegas Club and all the rest of it, and you know, I've sort of filmed the whole demolition and all the way up to the opening. I will just love going there. But anyway, that side. In terms of Resorts World, I'm semi interested in. I just have a bit of an issue with the fact that it stands on the Stardust lot. It is much as you're never going to quite, you know, bring back the memories that I had of that property. I absolutely adored that property. And so I've probably got a bit of a negative, slightly, not totally negative, but slightly negative. But I am quite excited about that. So to me, if it gets that end of the strip working, and also I mean, for me at least, it's got Circus next door. So you know, if you go into Resorts World, you know, you pay $15 for a drink, you know. Don't do it, and then you can always fuck off over to Circus and play with the Red Hot Fusion.
Well, we used to do it Stardust.
The best of both worlds, really.
When I used to stay at Stardust, I used to go over to Circus. I used to go over to New Frontier. I actually used to when I wasn't, because I was worried about my rating at Stardust. But when I wanted to just piss around with $5 dice, I would just walk over to New Frontier. But Stardust, I actually refer to Resorts World as Stardust. That's when I've looked at pictures, I'm like, that's Stardust. But Stardust was amazing, and the location was really cool. But
New Frontier, I liked, Mike. I really like that place. Again, I enjoyed
New Frontier was a great place for dice, and they also had Symmetry.
Yeah,
they had
the other thing you have. The other thing you have with Resorts World, and I don't know how this will play into things eventually, is we have a Resorts World right here in the UK. We have a Resorts World casino up in Birmingham, don't we? So I don't know if that will feed in perhaps as well to comp offers and on offers for Resorts World. I just really want to quickly, because I don't want to miss it, and it's been asked a few times in the chat, and I think it fits here with the whole circuit thing, but kids in Vegas. Someone says in the chat, whose name is also Stephen, and W, which is also my initials, so I promise you it's not me. Downtown not what it used to be. Only a few years ago you couldn't see a kid. Now it's full of them. What are your views on kids in Vegas? So anyone have any views? I don't tend to think that. I don't ever notice it, I'll be honest with you, but maybe it's because I'm too drunk.
I don't recall seeing that many kids down. I think it's one of the least kid crowded places, I would have said. But anyway,
well, Circa's 21 plus also. That's interesting. You know, I was looking at a trip,
I think that's a good thing,
in early December, you know, and my youngest is 19, and we wanted to go to Vegas, and I said, I guess we can't really make Circa part of the trip because it's 21 plus, which I don't mind. I mean, I think in that category of 18 and 19-year-olds, it's sort of not so great, you know. I mean, it doesn't, but I mean, I get it. I get the 21 plus, and actually, Cromwell now is 21 plus, taking it off on a tangent.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
I
love
don't
the
know if I
Cromwell.
know so many kids downtown. I'm also like only focused on gambling between like 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. So I probably am not really looking for the kids. How about you, Melts? Do you notice a lot of kids downtown?
Well, I don't notice anybody downtown right now because I usually go very early in the morning before kids are awake. But before the COVID hit, there were definitely way too many kids downtown. I totally agree with whoever said it in the chat. And there are not just too many of them, they're up at all hours of the night. So whether, you know, and especially on the weekends, and that's really when you'll see kids out anywhere. You know, it's when families are traveling. So I don't really like them near me, but, you know, whatever, to each their own. I can go, like Michael said, I can go on a casino floor and avoid them. I can go into high-end restaurants where they're either going to be well-behaved or not there. I can go to bars and not be bothered. So, you know, whatever. Do whatever you want if you're a family. You know, if I had a recommendation, I would say go to the south end of the strip. Mandalay Bay has that giant pool area. It's 11 acres, I believe. The kids love that. Just stay down there. Everywhere, Excalibur, Luxor. Have a good old time.
Get off my lawn now.
Every other Brit I come across stays at Excalibur because travel agents love Excalibur and Luxor in the UK. They seem to peddle it.
And to what the other Stephen W. said, yeah, it's 2 a.m. in strollers in downtown Vegas. That is not something that's surprising to see, and it's pretty obnoxious. But I'm a single guy. I'm not a parent, and you raise your kids the way you want to raise them. It's not my choice.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of kids in Vegas in general at all. And if you're going around at late at night, and as you said, the strollers. I mean, it's not just downtown; it's on the Strip. No, I'm not really a great fan of kids in Vegas. I've not got kids myself, so that probably clouds my judgment, I guess. And I suppose if it was the only way I could get there,
you've got your dog. You could take your dogs to Vegas.
Yeah, I wouldn't take my basset hound to Vegas and walk him down the Strip at 2 a.m.
There you go. Well,
stranger things have happened.
Place rested, right?
But let's take it practical about kids in Vegas. I mean, it's not really. I mean, I saw a message in a travel group today, like, "Oh, we're planning a trip to Vegas in April, and we have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old." And I just find that most Vegas resorts, I mean, maybe not as much downtown, are just so impractical with young kids because they're so large. You would really rather go to a compact resort with your kids. Can you imagine if you leave your kid's favorite stuffed animal up at the room at Venetian and you're already at the pool? It's like a 30-minute walk to get something from the room. It's like inconvenient. It's just such an inconvenient place with little kids. Strollers or not. I just don't understand the practicality.
I think we should emphasize we're saying little kids here, not necessarily like your 19-year-old.
I think what we're saying is as well, it's kids in inappropriate situations. It's not kids in a city where absolutely fine. And as you say, there's plenty of properties that are kid friendly. It's kids interact. If I'm on a gambling session, I'm $200, $300 down, and I'm stomping through a casino trying to find a slot machine to play, and a couple of kids run around me. It's going to irritate me. I mean that it's that type.
Well,
of
I
thing.
I was a horrible
there. It's don't be in an adult area, and if you are, just walk straight through, but don't run around like mad things and put people off. That's the thing. If they are on a gambling night, that's the thing that annoys me.
Well, listen, as time is starting to escape us, I just want to cut in here because I don't want to get fired from TravelZork, and I want Michael to keep paying me. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit about TravelZork Travel at this point. Michael, tell us a little bit about this and how it all works.
Was that a cue for me, Steve? I'm sorry.
That was a cue for you.
That was a cue for me. Okay, very, very, very quick. I'm sorry, I got it. Something else happened at the same time. I'm not so good with multitasking. But anyway, we're booking a lot of interesting stays that are mostly based on Virtuoso with benefits. There is a landing page that's at TravelZorkTravel.com, or you can easily find it on a website. Steve has been absolutely brilliant with booking some of these Vegas vacations. And the only thing I'm going to caveat is this is something that's really for people who are not big gamblers or want to stay at really high-end properties and don't want to gamble up to the level where they were to comp or discounted rooms. But the other thing that Steve is brilliant about, and I think I'm pretty good at too, is giving people advice like, hey, that's a really good casino offer, use that offer, or combining these kind of things. But basically there's a really good win buy two get one offer. There's really good offers for Delano where when you add up the food and beverage credits, if that's something that you like, the room is next to nothing. So it's good stuff to look at. Would you add anything else to that, Steve? But I mean it's basically it's cool stuff.
No, I think that's pretty good. I mean,
gamble.
Yeah, and if you want any more information on that, have a look at TravelZorkTravel.com because all the information is there. But you can book things like I booked for someone the other day, Aria, for a couple of nights for about $300, and that includes $100 food and beverage and an upgrade. So if you're not a gambler, it's a great deal. And the prices are almost the same as the direct price, so it's worth checking out. It's not us just shilling our stuff. It really is what I'm doing, and we'll tell you if we think take your offer, it's better. We can't help you. So exactly. Great. Okay. Well, listen, before we go any further, I would like to play my next Bridger favorite moment, if that's okay with everyone, because this is like my.
I know.
Yeah, I know you know what it is. I think most people know what it is. This is my ultimate. This is like the Bridger moment that if I'm ever having a down day, This is the sort of the clip I go to.
Okay.
It's incredible, and all I can say.
I'm excited. I have no idea what it is.
It's going to give it away. It's going to give it away. But I wish I had a friend like this. So this is the moment. I'm
pouring more just for this.
Yeah, you might want to drink for this. It is pure joy in Vegas, and you'll see what I mean. So enjoy this clip, and we'll talk with Matt a little bit longer when we come back.
I don't know how to explain it best, but this is probably the worst ever roulette session I've ever played. Ever. And I've been playing roulette for years, since I was about 20. And what's basically happened is whatever I've decided to back the cold numbers, which are 5, 9, 7, those kinds of things, and reds. So I had a group of cold numbers which are backed and reds. And basically the hot numbers, which are 34, 32, 33, 26, 8, have come in every single time. And then when I have switched, they've switched to the low numbers. You just can't win whatever you do. Like Matt said, you can't make it up.
You really couldn't make this up. Everything he's putting the chips on, it's the opposite that's coming in. Absolute opposite. One.
So,
did you have that?
No. Now I was back in the high numbers.
Oh my word.
Now the low numbers are coming in. I'm going to have 2 more bets and then we're going to go for lunch, I think.
Yeah, I think you're best to cut your losses, to be honest.
And I've managed to turn $60, which is my remaining money for today.
Right, okay, into
this amount,
I don't know what this is.
To this amount. $30. Yes!
Oh,
it's my most successful run of the
he's
day.
a losing
I've
winner.
Halved my money. It's been fantastic.
That's fantastic, Colin. Cheers. You've halved your money.
I've halved my money. On Buffalo Classic, my favourite game.
I'd put the other half in just in case you can do the same.
Well, actually, what I did is I lost the first $20 and then I switched machines for the final 10. This sums up my day, really.
It does really. So how's it gone early evening, Colin?
It's been a bit of a mixed bag of losing and then more losing. So I altered my strategy today and went with the hot numbers, thinking that backing the cold ones didn't really work. And again, I failed to win a single bet, but I did have quite a good game on Buffalo Gold, hitting the bonus feature and winning a massive $1.80 for my $40 investment. So overall, I think I'm just going to have a beer tonight and watch Matt gamble. And oh my god, I don't know how we're going to explain this. Really.
So basically, we're going back to the Luxor now because
because the safes are there.
we're going back to the safe. So we've been crying with laughter about this. You had to be there, but what an awful night's gambling. I mean, the pair of us have lost. Colin's already. Have you been back to the safe?
I've had my hands in the safe already. I'm going to go back for some more.
He's going back to the safe for a second.
Considering we've got so.
Enough. Oh, it's too much.
You can't taste this.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, it
like
makes me laugh. I've not seen that for about 6 months. I tell you, it makes me laugh so much. It was just so funny. It really, I mean, it was just ridiculous. We'd lost all day. We'd gone back. We were going back again. I mean, it was. In actual fact, I recorded that, and Colin, we both said this is just ridiculous. We can't possibly put it in the video. And I'm not even sure I even come up with that, but we just thought we couldn't put it in the video. And of course, you know, I just thought, well, you got to show what happens, right? And I mean, it will never be beaten. Simple as that. It would just.
I almost think that needs to be a new Vegas ad commercial. They need to put out. They just need to put that clip because for me, what I love about that clip, and it is hilarious, but it's also just the joy of Vegas, isn't it? For anyone visiting, it's one of those moments.
In my eyes now. That's the thing. It makes me laugh every time I watch it. I remember where we were, what happened. It was just a horrific day. And you got to bear in mind, you know, Colin had never been to Vegas before, and he was telling me all on because he was a so-called long-standing roulette player. He knew exactly what he was doing. He said, "Well, I'll be surprised if I don't win most days. I know what I'm doing. I've got my strategy. This, that, the other." That was the funny thing. It was like on the way, I said, "Yeah, but you've never been to Vegas, Colin." He said, "Oh, don't worry. I know exactly what I'm doing. I go down the Grosvenor in Reading every week. I know exactly what I'm doing." So and I got this for 10 hours on the plane. Okay. And literally, the minute we landed, he never won one bet. I mean,
I have a system. I definitely have a system. It's a very good system.
Well, I'm personally hoping Colin's going to go back with you at some point, because that is my favorite vlog series. If you haven't seen it, everyone, go and check out Matt's YouTube channel and watch it, because it is the best. It literally is hilarious. So Matt, we can't not talk about COVID a little bit, because it's obviously affected us, particularly in the UK. What do you think? I don't want to sort of think about the fact we still can't go, but long term, what do you think COVID's going to change about Vegas, if anything? And that's for anyone to this question. Do you think COVID's going to fundamentally change Vegas?
Well, I actually do think. I think America is. It is the land of the free, and it seems that they've, taken it and run with it, and they're dealing with it without the lockdowns. I'm not a fan of the UK lockdown at all. And that's not belittling the virus or anything of that nature, and it's terrible what's happened with so many deaths. But I do think, to a degree, you have to learn to live with it, and you have to learn to survive and carry on with it. I don't think it will actually affect Vegas long term, if I'm honest. I think as soon as possible, a bit like Michael said with Texas, I think as soon as possible, I think they'll lift restrictions. I guess in terms of me and you, Steve, I think with the UK it'll be far slower. And I guess that's because we have a government-funded healthcare system, and it's all about that. And that's it.
I'm just really hoping I can go back in July. I have a trip booked, but it's been like forever moving. Melts, what's the feeling? You're in Vegas. What do you think? Do you think restrictions are going to continue to be reduced, or?
Here's what we know. Restrictions, the capacities are up to 35% now. It'll go to 50% in March. I guess we're in March now, on the 15th. And then they'll reassess on May 1st to make an announcement on May 1st with what the next steps are going to be, as far as hopefully loosening the restrictions even more. It's a slow process, and we're coming down drastically with cases, deaths, and all that jazz, but we're still where we were last summer. Like, we've come down to not quite ground zero, even ground 20. There's still a ways to go. So I'm trying to be as patient as possible. But when you go out now, your March Madness parties are going to be, have capacity, and they're going to be existing like they used to last year or 2 years ago, I guess. And when you go out to the casinos, they're going to be crowded on the weekends, less crowded during the weekdays, because there's no conventions. Eventually, conventions will come back. I was listening to the Caesars earnings call last week. They had 95% capacity of their Vegas hotels the last 2 weekends ago, which there was nothing happening. So they were stoked about that. They're allowed that because it's a part of, the capacity of the hotel and the property itself are different things. And I think we're going to see a gradual return to, quote unquote, what will become normal. Hopefully, I think that if there's one big difference we notice, it's going to be that Las Vegas will be cleaner. The casinos won't be as dirty. MGM yesterday announced their the big partnership with Clorox to keep the properties clean. While that's sort of funny, it's also good, because germaphobes, or even people like me that like to just be relatively clean, not really clean, but not filthy, will enjoy being able to grab a handy wipe or something afterwards, where you don't have to, not that you have change, dirty fingers from coins, but you still have dirty hands from touching things that other people are touching. So hopefully,
I do think that a few people in the chat have said that they think that masks will be around for a while, and I don't think that's just Vegas. I do think worldwide, I think we are going to end up being a bit like the East and whatever, with masks. A certain element of the population will now wear them from now on, so they will now become a fashion accessory to a degree.
It's also interesting, because I
safer, great.
I think people are going to come to expect now. I almost think it's going to become the norm to expect hand sanitizer as you go into a restaurant or a hotel. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that goes with Vegas. I think people are kind of more aware of it now. I just wondered, Matt, do you think that, a bold prediction, and I'm not going to hold you to this, do you think that the US will allow the UK visitors. So we've got a lot of people in the chat from the UK. Do you think they're going to let us back this year? And if so,
no, I do.
Are you hoping to get over as soon as possible, or are you going to wait a while, see what happens, or are you going to be on the first plane out?
I will be on the first plane out. I'm 53. I think hopefully I'll get my first jab this month. I think then obviously you're looking at June for the second. 3 weeks after that, if they have the vaccine passports, I'm good to go. So you're looking at end of sort of July time. So I'm hopeful certainly by August. I thought.
How about a wager,
July.
Steve?
I know you've got July to book, Steve. So or July, I think they're going to be good to go.
I hope so.
They can't keep. I mean, we're now getting. It's going to be 18 months. With restrictions, you can't keep it going. I'm a cabbie now, as you know, and I went down to Gatwick yesterday, right? And if you're an Uber driver around Gatwick, you have to wait in a queue. And the normal queue is probably about 200 cars, right? I would never bother with it. You just do your own thing. But anyway, I went down to Gatwick and I thought, I'll just click on Gatwick and see how many cabs are in the queue. 0.
Wow.
That is what Gatwick is like right now. There are no private hire drivers in the Gatwick waiting area. Now that can't carry on.
And that's quite amazing for people who aren't familiar with that. That's quite amazing. That's like probably the second biggest.
It really is. I was shocked. I thought there'd be probably 20 or 30, but there was nothing. At Heathrow, you've probably got 40, where you probably normally have 400. So it's slightly different, but it's travel has got to get back. I've given lifts to pilots who've had. There was a couple of brothers. One worked for Virgin, one worked for BA. They both went through redundancy situations. One of them kept their job, but the reward for keeping your job was you were on 50% salary. The other one on the other company lost their job. He then applied for an Amazon delivery job and got declined. This is what you're talking about. This is what you're talking about, and that is genuine truth. It's tragic. It really is, and they have to get that industry up and running. Certainly, the way the vaccines are going, you'd hope it would happen, but it really is. There's a lot of really, really bad stories you don't hear about with the Rishi Sunak sort of headline. We're supporting this, that, the other. It's far from that.
Well, I
agree.
On a mentality of positive thinking, and Michael, you've kind of you've helped me with this. I will say, I'll admit it for once, because if you read the newspapers, you get too much of the negative thoughts, you're just going to get dragged down by it. And to be honest, think positive, hope for the best. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think that's the best way to focus on this right now. But you're right.
And as Marc said, like cleaning stuff. I mean, I've seen things I've never thought I've seen in my entire life. I saw them cleaning chips at Bally's Las Vegas. Literally spraying the chips. I had to take a double take. If you had transplanted that moment in my mind back a year ago or 2 years, I would never have believed that it's happening. But and the other thing is, like, the positive mindset. You're going to have to wear masks in a lot of tourist destinations, right? You're going to have to probably wear masks at most major, even if it's in a jurisdiction where they're not going to make you wear a mask, like in Texas or Florida. Marriott Hotels Hilton Hotels is going to make you do it. So it's just something for the short term or for the next year you have to get used to. There's nowhere you're going to be able to go without wearing a mask. And you know what?
Masks, you have to wear a mask. Again,
and Vegas is still great. I don't care what anybody says. It's still great. It's different. Yeah, it's shifted. It's not exactly like it was before, but it's still great. So I refuse to let it get me down, and I'm sticking with that.
One last thing to what Michael just said. You can still enjoy yourself in Vegas the way that you used to. If you have a certain kind of lifestyle, you can wear your mask out. You can get their sanitizer everywhere. You can enjoy a clean, fun time, socially distant, but it's up to you to do what's right for you and for your sake, And
I can still blow smoke in Meltz's face in Vegas, and it's still okay. So it's all fine. I mean, it's all almost normal. I pull my mask down, I drag, and I blow the smoke in his face. So it's all fine. Just one more effort.
We talk about my favorite Bridger moments. One of my recent favorite moments was Michael going drunk back to the wrong floor, and they're trying to get into the wrong room in Bally's Las Vegas. Anyway, we don't talk about that. Right, listen, we're nearly out of time. We've been going for an hour. But before we go, I just want to make sure we talk very quickly about ZorkFest 2021. And I've kind of plastered the screens, and we're kind of still in the background. I feel if I move this way, you can still see my face. But yeah, Michael and Mel's has turned into a panda. Michael, to fill us in, what's the plan? And Matt's involved too, right? So tell us about this. December 18th, 2021.
Yeah, well, the main plan is that very scientifically chose the last possible date in December that did not collide with New Year's Eve and Christmas. And we think we're going to do some learning sessions and some travel loyalty stuff, but really it's going to be a great, big, fun meetup with group gambling and hopefully the most epic slot pull ever, coordinated by you guys, since I know nothing about that stuff. So it's something to look. It's something to look forward to. Where I think it's, like I said, it's the last possible date we could choose. I think it's going to be a stellar way to end 2021 and just get together and just embrace the fact that we're back. So that's basically the message. We're being a little bit cautious about how much we plan. We don't want to plan too much in advance, like the past Zork fests, mostly because we want to be cautious about what we will be able to do or what we won't be able to do. So we'll be coming up with more plans in the next couple of weeks. What? It's the light, but there will definitely be.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% there. And I'll be honest, I've not been to Vegas in the run up to Christmas that close for a while, but I think this will be a really fun trip. And there might be a whole load of Brits that have not been for probably for 2 years. Some.
And Matt, you've had great success with slot pools so far, right? We're watching your vlog, so that's a reason to go in itself.
I can't remember what the stats are, but I've done something like 8 or 9, and I think I've probably it's certainly over 50% success rate. So it's and in any case, regardless of that, because you're splitting the risk. It's you never lose completely. It's a great fun experience with a whole bunch of people. So yeah, we're gonna do a huge slot pool. Bigger denomination, the better. And it's let's get back to Vegas and enjoy it, and really announce that the whole city is back, and we're the Brits are back, the Europeans are back, Australia, everywhere.
Brits are back in town. If you've enjoyed this as well, we'll have more of this style of sort of Q&A with Matt, and I'm sure you'll be able to meet Matt in person. Before we go any further, I just want to, before we finish, really, I just want to mention as well, if you're interested in that, join our Facebook group. That's the best way to get the information up to date, because we post about that all the time in there, and we have discussions. So just search on Facebook for TravelZork, join the group. Matt, where can people find you? Where can people find your page? You've got a Patreon too, haven't you? You've got obviously your vlogs. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. It's Matt Bridger on YouTube, Matt Bridger on Facebook, Instagram. There's a Patreon, but I'm not really asking for people to do anything like that. I mean, I'm in hibernation for now, but ultimately it will all get relaunched. Hopefully later this summer. I can't wait. I want to be on the first plane out there. And I'm just going to make a big noise when I get into Vegas. Whether anyone cares, I don't.
Everyone's going to know you've landed.
I want to make a noise for me. I want to have a really good holiday myself. Whether it's solo or with Suzanne depends on the timing, but we will see. I can't wait.
You need to treat yourself and fly business class during your next Vegas trip.
Yeah, well, I have saved some money, so who knows?
The bankroll is going to be huge. Any final thoughts?
Changing the money up, so we'll see. But it's great. And the only thing I would say to all Brits watching, don't lose the faith. It has been tough here, and for Melts and Michael, joking apart, and Steve knows, this has been a tough period for us. We have literally had nothing. And it's about to open up. Just give it a couple more months, and let's fucking go for it. Seriously, let's really go for it. It will happen.
That's what we need.
Can get
positive vibes.
And Empire, Leicester Square, and such. And then
I'm looking forward to you guys going to Empire, and really, I want to be impressed with it. So I mean,
we we are going. Steve and I
Yeah.
are going.
We've been going for about a year, but we
Yeah.
actually will be going soon.
No, this time I think we'll be frothing at the mouth by then, Steve.
Oh God, I know.
Any
final
Well, thank
thoughts
you,
about-
Matt, for joining us too. This was
Yes,
really
thank
great.
you as well. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. So whenever you want to do it again, I'm game. So absolutely, and I really hope December happens. I'm sure it will. I can't believe it won't. We'll all be vaccinated by then. Let's hit Vegas, ZorkCast, TravelZork. Let's do it. Let's have a fantastic meet up and really enjoy it. 100%.
And blow smoke in Meltz's face because he loves that.
Sorry, say again.
I said blow smoke in Meltz's face because he loves that.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big Melt fan. I think you're
I used to.
Actually, I've never played craps with Meltz, and I've been waiting all of these years. So I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. I'm
Maybe
ready for.
you stop blowing smoke in my face.
I know, but I'm ready for a crap
actually-
session with you. I want to see what you're made of, Meltz. I want to see you roll some hard eights.
I'll send you a video of what I'm made of.
All right. Well, listen, unless anyone's got any final thoughts, I guess this is where we leave you. Thank you for joining us on the TravelZork YouTube. And I guess I have to leave this the last line to you, Michael. What is the line that you tend to love to say on the podcast that I always want to say that I'm never allowed to say?
You can say it today.
Really?
Yeah.
That puts me on the spot. Okay, well,
I know.
until next time.